LabCoatAgents podcast.
Welcome back, Lab Coat Nation, to another episode of the LabCoatAgents podcast. And we've got a good one today. I am excited to bring to you the CEO and founder of The Defining Difference, which is a coaching and training company that is devoted to helping real estate professionals master the power of intentional choice to create a defining difference in their own life. And before I go any further, I'm going to tell you guys a couple of things about this guest. First of all, we kind of pre-strategized about what we're going to talk about. And I'm going to tell you that what I just described is hokey. That's hokey to me. That's coachy, right? This gal is much better than that. And I just met her and I'm excited to talk to her because we're going to talk about team development. We're going to talk about how she brings people up to make them more successful, not just in their business, but in their lives. And this is something you want to listen to. If you guys know me and you know this podcast, we're very choosy about the coaches we bring on because there's a lot of them in the industry. So when we bring one in, it means they've got a lot to deliver. So turn the volume up, get your pen and paper ready, and welcome to the show, Cindy Ertman. It's great to have you here.
Thanks, Jeff. It's so fun to be here. I'm excited to be here today with your audience.
Awesome. And you reside in Southern California. I think you said Manhattan Beach area, which is where a lot of our viewers reside in the California region. So I envy you like I do all of them.
It's sunshine and beautiful today. So I've got to admit, I'm a beach girl, so I'm living in the right place. It's awesome being here in Manhattan Beach, California. It's fun.
I am hashtag jealous. So Cindy, tell us, assuming our viewers probably don't know much about you, tell us about yourself. Like, how did you come up in the business and how, what led you to where you are today and developing and building this coaching platform?
Well, I really kind of had, 3 different lives, all really around real estate. So I started my career out of college as a realtor, was a real estate agent for many years. And then through that sort of morphed in, I got very interested in development and morphed into real estate development and ended up going to work for the largest apartment developer in the state of California and worked very closely with a lot of realtors and ultimately morphed into the mortgage industry. But I have continued for the last 20 years to coach, teach, train success strategies to several industries, not just mortgage, not just real estate, but really honing in on what makes people successful. And I've spent, years working with real estate agents to try to bring them really significant success strategies, or really tangible things they can do to build and grow their business, from marketing to one of the things that, you and I were talking about for today's call that I'm super passionate about is team development, because, this is a team sport. And as we begin to build and grow our business, we can't do it, solo. We've got to be able to develop a team. And so leading a large area here in Southern California through 25 years of success strategies and wanting to really help people get clear around how to hire. I've got a lot of processes around my thoughts around team development. Sometimes what people need isn't what they think they need. So I help people get really clear on what it is that they need to really help them take them to the next level and kind of get out of the paperwork of the file and the day-to-day shuffle, if you will, and to be able to really lead a business and build and grow it. So I get very excited about helping people grow their teams and ultimately grow their business in a meaningful way.
I love it. I love it. And I want to, before we get too much into the team development piece, I want to ask you a question just because I feel like it's my job to challenge my guests a little bit. And because it's, typically experts, right? And I mentioned the word hokey. And first of all, I wholeheartedly believe in coaching. I have my people, most of them in coaching. I've always done coaching. I believe in it. I also believe that coaching in today's world has become extremely diluted. And, in this digital world, everybody is a coach now, right? Everybody's, and you go to Clubhouse, everybody's an expert. Like, how do you siphon through and figure out who really is the expert? And so, as I said, when I was reading your bio, I consider that typical, right? And so you tell me, I want to know from your mouth, how is it that a real estate professional, whether that's real estate, mortgage, title, insurance, it doesn't matter, how can they try to figure out how to kind of navigate through to figure out which platform, which coach is best for them? Because again, they're going to hear some of the same adjectives when coaches are describing themselves.
Right. No, 100%, Jeff. It's a great question because, look, I've had coaches for the last 30 years. I have two coaches personally right now. And it's, the reality is that it is about finding somebody that really is kind of a values match. And I think an emotional, having that emotional connection with the coach is really key and important because, look, I've gone to, and I won't mention names, but I've gone, like I was coaching with the head of a large coaching company. He owns the company for many years. He was amazing. And when he pulled out a one-on-one coaching, I was assigned to another coach and it felt very flat because there wasn't an alignment. There just wasn't an energy alignment. So, I always just kind of go and Google the best coaches. I go look at reviews. I talk to people. I think that's really the key is listening to testimonials about people's experience and how their lives have been meaningfully changed. So I think one of the things that as a coach that and you said it yourself, it's really easy to, as you grow, dilute. I decided to keep myself in a kind of a category of a really boutique, high-end coaching company that really focuses on top performers because my experience is top performers actually execute. They really want to grow. They actually take direction and they're more coachable than a lot of people that never quite get past the entry level of business. And so I get very excited about helping top performers go to that whole next level of success and really step into, I'm not just a successful realtor, but now I have to embody the role of leader of my team and my business. It's a different role completely.
Yeah, I like that. And there's something you said there that I think I want to reiterate, which is top performers, not only do they typically always have coaches, they're the ones who execute. In other words, and I've been through this enough that you always have the mid-level performers and below that get into coaching because they feel like they should. They've heard somebody say it, their manager says it, and then they bail in 3 to 6 months. Right. And what do they say? Every one of them, it's not doing anything for me. And the reality is, it's not doing something for you because you're not doing anything with it. Right. And I want you all to hear that before we get deep on this team development, because I think that's a great topic. But I wanted to point that out because, like I said, Cindy, we could have a coach on every week if we wanted. There's that many in the industry, but coaching is critical and it is important. And so for anybody listening today, whether you fall into the category of, yes, I totally believe in coaching, or no, it's a bunch of BS, the answer is, actually, it's not. It's very much valuable, but it's all about you. It's all about you looking in the mirror and figuring out, are you coachable and are you willing to learn from it? So I just wanted to say that because I think it's important. But so unless you have anything to add to that, let's move forward to one of your specialties, which is team development. I think that's a powerful topic in our industry. A lot of people, whether they currently have a team, whether they have a brokerage, or whether they're a single agent, a lot of people, everybody, unless they literally want to stay singular the rest of their career, which there's got to be a very small percentage, everybody has the need to hire at some point support, right? Whether you want to grow a massive team or you just need support. Let's get into that. Let's talk about how get into their heads and help someone understand how they move forward.
Well, first of all, I think people get in their own way, and in coaching people every day that are looking to build and develop teams or reassess the team they have, everyone gets stuck of it's a cost. Can I afford it is usually the first question. Is it worth the investment? And I say, hire the assistant, hire the next level to support your business before you need it, and you'll grow into it very, very quickly. Because usually by the time you need it, it's very difficult to take the time that you need to put in to go find the right person to really support your business in a meaningful way. And look, I've hired people that are brand new to the industry. I've taught them from scratch over time for me personally, because I developed my business to such a high level of production. I wanted to make sure that I was hiring people that were already thoroughly trained and they just needed to adopt to my system. So you can do it either way. But I think first and foremost, when I look at somebody's business, we look at the foundation. I always just equate it to building a house. You've got to build a really strong foundation to your business in order to be able to take it to the next level of success. So we sort of look foundationally of, If you already have team members, we identify their roles and responsibilities. We look at first and foremost, and this is a great place to start. It's what I did that really elevated my own game, is when I really started working on my business and said, what piece of this puzzle do I want to play? Like, what do I actually want to do? Like, what fuels you in your business? So if you start there and get really clear about what is it that you love about real estate, or what is it that you love about mortgage, or whatever it is, and what is it that you love? What fuels you? Because that's going to keep you motivated and inspired. So I usually have people like write out the top 5 things they want to do. And then we look at all the other components of a successful transaction, a successful business, and we build it around the things that you love. The other thing is looking at what kind of life do you want to lead, because it can be an all-encompassing 7-day-a-week business. And it is for many people. I just don't believe that's any way to live. And I've been that person. Look, I mean, I've worked 100 hours a week, but the reality is I had to really check myself at the door and say, all right, what kind of life do I want to lead? Because why are we trying to build a business and make more money and be more successful if we're not trying to have a more fulfilling life? So I always kind of start there and say, what do you want the picture to look like? So why are you doing what you're doing? I teach an exercise around discovering your why and greatest strengths, and get people really clear on like, what are your 3 greatest strengths, and why do you do what you do, and what piece of the puzzle do you want to play? And once you get kind of put those pieces together, then it makes it easier to assess what it is that you need on your team and where we need to fill in the gaps. So for a lot of people, they don't want to be checking the box and shuffling the paperwork and making sure all the documents are in the file, and they want someone else to handle that piece. They want to focus on relationship. For me, like, I consider myself a relationship expert. That's the part of the business that I love. So I know that I want to spend my time in relational activities and income generating activities, and with my family. I want to focus on my business. And when I'm home, I want to be able to focus on my children and my family. So getting clear about what part of this business you want to play. One of the other things, it's really a great exercise, Jeff, is, I have it on an actual exercise format, but you don't need that. Just for 2 days during 2 business days, in 15-minute increments, just with a yellow pad, write down every single thing that you do during the course of the day. And I mean, write down if you're taking the trash out, or you're walking the dog, or you're on Instagram, write it down and really log it. And then, at the end, you got to be honest, because no one's going to see it. So just tell the truth. Very, very telling. This exercise has changed some of my clients' life. So the end of 2 days, I want you to put a plus and a minus next to every single thing. The plus next to everything that fuels you, that you want to be doing, that you love doing, and a minus next to everything that you're doing that doesn't fuel you. And that might be cleaning the house, or washing the dishes, or whatever it is in your life that you have to do. And then we transfer all the minuses over to a separate sheet, and we go, all right, we need to find someone to do all these things. And when I did this exercise many years ago, I thought I needed another business assistant. And turns out I needed a personal assistant to manage my life, because there were all these things, details. I was traveling a ton. I was speaking a ton. There were so many details around my life. And I thought, I don't have time to go take my clothes to the dry cleaners. I don't have time to go buy my hairspray. I mean, it was just crazy. And I identified what I needed was a personal assistant to manage my life. And that gave me so much more time to focus on building my business. It was one of the best decisions I ever made. So
I love it. And have you ever heard anybody say that I'm writing, and this isn't me, by the way, but I'm sure people say this. One of the things I hate doing is working out. Can I get somebody to do that for me?
Hey, I'm one of those people.
I'm kidding, because I actually really enjoy that. And I think it's very important. That's kidding aside. I wanted to ask you, so based on everything you just said, which was awesome, is you basically said that you have people focus on their why, like the things they love to do. I've heard other people say, focus on what you hate doing. Why is it that you have, there's 2 trains of thought there. Why do you focus on the things they love to get to what they hate? Is there a reason? Is there a psychological reason behind that versus focusing. And I love that 2-day thing, by the way, where you're basically logging everything you do, not just business, everything you do to determine where you need help. But what's your mindset behind that?
Well, I think, when we kind of get into that energy of the things that we love, the things we love fuel us. They bring us energy. We feel revitalized, or things that we get excited when we wake up in the morning. And so the more we can keep people in that zone, which is really people's genius zone, the happier they are. I cannot tell you how many people that call me for coaching and they're like, look, I've been doing this for 20 years and I used to love it. And I'm thinking I'm going to quit. I'm semi-successful at it, but some of the stuff I used to do isn't working anymore. And I'm burnt out and I'm tired and I'm just over it, and it's kind of like they're one last hurrah. Like, can I get my mojo back again? And so in going through, really drilling down on looking at somebody's passion and, what got you fueled around this business in the first place? What are you actually doing? Let's look at your day-to-day activities. Let's look at how we can shift that. Who do we need to find for you that can support the things you don't want to do? We get them back focused on the things they love. And I literally see people transform within 12 months, like completely transform. I'm coaching a guy right now. I've been coaching him for 3 years in Phoenix. And he's like he would tell you, he's a different human because he started really getting intentional about his business. And that's what coaching does. Look, we all know what we should do, right? Myself included. I know what I should do, but we need reminders. We need sometimes fresh ideas. We need to be kept back on track when we get off track. We need to be a little better with, managing our time and our energy and our resources. And look, if we know that the most successful people in real estate are the people that can build relationship in a really meaningful way. I teach a lot of relational development strategies, and that may seem silly because it seems like such a natural thing, but honestly, it isn't always for a lot of people. Picking up that phone and cold calling somebody, can be a really scary thing for many people. And I coach 25-year, veterans in the industry saying, I'm scared to death to pick up the phone because I don't know what to say. So the reality is, so then we talk about, well, let's script what to say, because sometimes that's just what's standing in the way is they haven't sat down long enough to say, this was just a few weeks ago, one of my clients, he said, I've never called my past clients. And I'm like, what? Like, how can you not call your past clients? He said, I just never have time. I think about it from time to time. I said, well, doesn't it bother you that they're going to be buying from somebody else? Like, you have a responsibility to your past clients. And I said, why don't you call them? He said, I feel like they don't want to hear from me. And candidly, I don't know what to say. And I said, and he's been in the business 25 years, by the way. And I said, well, why don't we script it right now? So, he gave me some of his own words and we scripted it real time on the call. I sent him the script. I said, I want you to practice it 2 or 3 times. And I want you to call 5 of your past clients by Friday. Can you do that for me? He called me back the very next day. He said, by the time he got to client number 3, client number 1, he left a message for, had already called him back, was so happy he called, was so anxious to talk to him about the market. He had had a lot of questions and hadn't picked up the phone and called. And he was like, oh my gosh. He goes, I'm going to increase my goals for this year because I know if I call my past clients, I can increase my production this year and I can increase my sales and I can increase my revenue. And this light bulb went off of, I've never been calling my past clients. And
probably double too.
Yeah. It's just sad.
Yeah.
You make that one call and someone goes, oh my gosh, my son is looking at buying a house. Or, I remember talking to a client and I just called in to say, hey, I just want to check in to see how you're doing, with your home and see how you and your family are doing. And I said, and he's like, we're thinking about refinancing. And I said, okay, well, talk to me a little bit about how long do you think you guys are going to be in the house? He said, well, we thought 5 years, but we just had a second baby. And we're not sure now. We think maybe we only have another year left. And I said, well, then why are you thinking about refinancing? Why don't you start looking for a new house? They were in escrow within 2 weeks because I called and asked the question.
Yeah. That's awesome. I want to go back to what you said about, because I think there's a lot of relatability to the burnout. Like, it happens all the time. whether it's caused by too much work, whether it's caused by tension with our spouses, because we are perpetually accessible, right? Because it eats into our dinner time and our weekend time and things like that, or just because you've had a lot of rough deals, which is also, especially coming out of 2020, there was a
Really
lot of rough deals. So I think there's a lot of people sitting there right now thinking, well, I've only been in the business 5 years and I feel that. And probably some others saying, well, I've been in 30 and I feel that. So what is a good exercise? And I know you touched on it, like, let's focus in on what you love to do. Is there a certain exercise though, like just that own personal mental game, if you will, that they can play with themselves, that when they're feeling this way, they can pull themselves out of it?
One of the things that very few people do, and I think it's so critical for us, particularly in real estate, because like you said, we're accessible 7 days a week. People are writing offers. It's multiple offers on everything. It's very stressful. And there's so many things that come up that you can't foresee that are going to be problems that we have to overcome. But what I really think is imperative is to really look at what your non-negotiables are and get really clear. And I will tell you, and in the beginning, people don't want to set non-negotiables because they feel like they have to talk to everybody 24/7. You don't want to lose a deal or lose an opportunity. And I get it. I mean, I did it too. But you very quickly realize that, first of all, if you're really good at what you do, people will wait a little bit. And second of all, we all need to have a life and take care of ourselves. And look, I'm coaching several people right now that are highly successful people. And several of them are just below the surface, ready to crack right now, coming off 2020 with all the stress, all the uncertainty, COVID, being in the house, having spouses on top of you and children and homeschooling. Like, let's just be honest, it's been a rough year for most at best. So the reality is really going, okay, I got to take care of myself. That's why with everyone this year, I've been really focused on health, myself included, because like you mentioned, working out, I hate working out, but I realize the only way I'll do it is if I have a coach. So I hired a personal trainer 2 days a week now on Mondays and Thursdays. She trained me this morning and we train on Zoom. But like I didn't for like 6 months because the gyms were all closed and all, like, well, I have to pivot and go a different direction. But think about non-negotiables, because it's really important that we put some boundaries around our business. So for me, a non-negotiable was I had dinner with my kids at 6 o'clock every night. Everybody knew that. I told people right out of the gate, hey, look, I'm very accessible. I'm here to support you, but I just want to let you know, I do give myself a window from 6 to 8 at night where I have dinner with my kids and I help them with their homework. And then I just want you to know, I do check back on my phone. So if you need something that's urgent, I also really trained people about, like, we had a really turnkey communication plan on my team where they knew they were going to get communicated with at all these different milestones of the transaction. So I train people, not to call me on certain things at 10 o'clock at night, because we get these stupid calls at 10 o'clock at night. And you're like, couldn't that have waited till tomorrow morning? My other thing was, sporting events. I had 3 kids in sporting events and soccer and football. And, I want to be a mom at my kids' games. So yes, would I potentially, if it was a top client, pick up the phone, but I would immediately say, I'm at a soccer game. Can I call you back in an hour, 45 minutes? And almost 100% of the time they say yes.
Yeah.
Or I would text them back and say, at a sporting event, got your message. I'll call you back in an hour. Over time, I brought in a partner. And part of the reason for that was to have a life. My other non-negotiable was 2 weeks vacation in the summer, because we need it. We need to unplug from our business. I went through this year and I locked 4 Fridays that say Cindy's planning day. My team knows they can't book those days, right? I mean, so we have to be able to have some time and space for ourselves. And I think self-care last year, like, went all right out the window, and it's something we have to, and also morning practices are a big part of mental health and keeping that great mindset. And look, I'm a type A as they get. And when I started doing meditation, I thought I can't do meditation, but turns out it's one of my favorite parts of my day. I start with a gratitude journal. Very seriously, I start my day with 5 things I'm grateful for. I have 15 minutes of meditation. I do typically about 20 minutes of listening to a podcast or listening to a YouTube training, or I've got key people that I listen to depending upon the space that I'm in. And then I try to get in at least 20 minutes minimum of moving my body and exercise and having morning established practices that are really kind of locked in stone as non-negotiables, can really transition that kind of negative mindset and that exhaustion and burnout. And I get there too. I just, COVID and all, I booked a massage therapist to come to my house. And it's like, I doubled my self-care in the last 2 months because I'm supporting a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really imperative now more than ever, because I do think there's a national health crisis going on in this, probably around the world, certainly, but particularly we've got a lot of pressures that go 7 days a week, and the real estate and mortgage industry for sure.
Yeah, no, that's so true. And I think everything that you're saying is something that every single person listening can say, yeah, I've been there. Yeah. Or I'm there. Right. So let's digress. Let's go back, because I took this off base. I do this a lot. I'm very squirrely. When it comes to the development now. So let's get back on that track and let's talk to the individual who's going through what you mentioned, which is, I can't afford it, or I feel like I can't afford it. And you and I both know, and anybody who's hired people knows, that you're going to get that back. And actually, this isn't just, I guess, for the single person, the individual. It's also for the person with a 10-person team. I have a 90-person team, and I'm second guessing right now hiring in a couple of positions. And it's the same concept. I just actually caught myself doing the same damn thing. What the hell? It's true. And so how do you coach your clients to get past that point beyond the obvious, which is you'll get there. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, like I said, we usually start by walking through the process, right? So we just start at the beginning. Okay, you start with, you get a call from a new client, you have a lead. Like, we walk through like step by step of what happens to this person that's now, you've got a brand new potential client. And, what are the processes that are in place to make sure, one, that you stay in contact with this person? Like, do you have systems and processes around it? And many people go, they get them from A to B, but they don't have a systematized, replicatable, approach to the business. So what we're really trying to identify are, where are the gaps? Where are people getting, maybe they're just getting kind of dropped on the sideline, and there's not enough follow-up going on, and they're losing people that are going and buying with other real estate agents because they just plain didn't have the capacity to follow up. So, you might really need somebody to, that's really good with people, that can be mini you, to be able to do reach out for all of your new potential clients, because we know this, sometimes they buy in 2 weeks, and with what's going on right now with multiple offers and limited inventory and all that, sometimes it's taking them a year plus. So making sure that we're staying in constant contact with those people. So first of all, I help people really identify, where are the gaps. The big thing that I had to learn, and, I hired hundreds of people because I was running a region and helped so many people build teams, but you learn to do it right by doing it wrong. So I did it wrong a lot of times, and doing it wrong was, I hired people I liked, and I didn't hire people for their skill, because I wanted to hire people like me that were energetic and that, were high ion a disc profile. So let me speak to disc profile. Everybody has different things that they use. I swear by disc profiles. I use the 2.0 disc profile, have for probably 20 years. All my clients, their whole team, everyone coming in, because depending upon what you want them to do, there's a different profile. So for a salesperson, so just to kind of map it out, D on a disc profile is really your drive. That's not what they call it. I don't even have it in front of me right now, but it really is your drive. It's your motivation level. I is, you're an influencer, you're a people person. So most salespeople are either a DI on a disc profile, or they're an ID. I'm an ID. I'm all about the people, but I have a lot of drive. So D is just below my I. And then S is really someone that's going to be a great support person. So if you're looking for someone to just support your day-to-day activities and help you, take things from A to Z. You want someone who's going to be happy in a support position. If they're all the way at the bottom of support, they're probably going to want your job. They don't want to support you. That's just not their role. So someone that's higher up, at least 50% on the S, the support, and then C is sort of their conscientiousness and detail. So if you want someone to manage all the details of your, real estate file while you're going through the transaction, they need to be very high C. They need to be very detail oriented. When I'm hiring support people for my coaching company, my project manager, they have to be very high C because there's tons of details. They have to manage that effectively. So I'm looking for someone that's about 40 to 50% D. I want them to have drive. I've hired people that are low D, and you always have to give them the task and push them up the hill. They just aren't self-starters. So I look for drive. Depending upon what role you want them to play. If they're going to have interaction with your clients, you're going to want them to be higher on the I scale so they can call and be personable and friendly. Usually if they're really low on the I, they're going to be much better behind the scenes. They'll be way better supporting the paper process, or the file process, but they're not going to be as great with people. So a lot of times I'm looking for high essence, high C with my clients. And so we identify, if you're looking for someone for marketing or social media, you're going to want to be a high I. That's a creative job, but I always like the C because the C means they can handle detail. When you have someone really low C, most salespeople are really low C. That's why they need somebody that's an S and a C to support them to really complete their business model. So they can focus on what they do best, which is building relationship with people and then having somebody else. So DISC is a part of all of my hiring and I highly recommend it. And then it's, again, when I'm reviewing it, obviously their background is key. References to me, and a lot of people don't check references. I just don't understand. Because to me, that's just like so telling. Like I look at who did they give me as their reference? If they give me coworkers, that's like a red flag to me. Give me people that you actually worked for in terms of the management and leadership. It really is very telling, that they left on good terms with the prior employers. So I really look at that. And Jeff, I have, even in the last year, avoided 2 very big personal mistakes by Googling the candidates. And so one of my assistants used to work for a law firm. And one of the things she was trained to do at the law firm is not just to Google the name of the candidate, which is what I would have done, but she put in their cell phone number and put in like dots and dashes different in between the number. And true story, this was just about 4 months ago, looking for a marketing assistant. And we discovered that one of the candidates is a call girl. Now, that was surprising, but I would have never known that had we not done the phone number search. And that just wasn't quite what I wanted for my brand. So anyway, but those are things that we need to look a little deeper under the hood. So I highly recommend that we do a Google search. We look at social media accounts to see, what you want and what's representative. I've averted a couple of wrong hires in the last year just by digging a little bit deeper. And look, when you've done your research and you've talked to the references, and you've done, a full scope and you've done the DISC profile, and everything lines up, you usually end up with a really great hire that is going to support you for many years to come. And it just averts so many problems. So
you just opened up a whole nother rabbit hole that we don't have time for today, but it's something I'm very passionate about, which is that whole social media and Googling topic. And I also want to spin that the other way, just for our audience, to remind them that not only should you be doing this, but guess what happens every time you get referred by a client? Not every time, but vast majority of the time. And as we evolve into the future, the yellow pages don't exist anymore because you get stalked. That's the way. Let's just put it bluntly, right?
Exactly.
If Tristan refers Cindy to me, the first thing I do is Google her, look her up on Facebook, look her up on Instagram, maybe look her up on LinkedIn. I'm going to go stalk her a little bit. Like, is this person really somebody that I want to interview, right? And guess what? You as a real estate agent, you as a mortgage professional, that's exactly what people are doing. And you can kid yourself and tell you that's not happening. That's all you're doing is kidding yourself. So establishing your own brand and how you want to be represented on your pages is absolutely critical. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole because we'll talk for another hour. But I do want to ask you one more question as it relates to hiring. Do you have any metrics? And maybe you don't. And if you don't, I want you to give me something. Any metrics for someone who, whether you're in my position, you're a team of 100 and you're still questioning whether you should hire, or you're a team of 1 and you're questioning whether you should hire. Is there a metric in your income or your P&L, right? Your revenue that tells you, yes, I can afford this, or no, you should probably wait until you get to a certain level because it might be detrimental. Is there a certain thing?
Right. I don't actually have a metrics, Jeff, but it's such a great question. It's a valid question because look, everybody's like, gosh, and I always try to measure it this way. It's like, if this person could help me do one more transaction a year. I mean, look, seriously, depending upon the area you're in and your average commission per sale. I mean, the reality is if you could do one more transactions throughout the year, or, what if you could do 6 more transactions because now you have support and now you can focus on proper activities to really build and grow your business. The incremental increase can be so substantial with the right hire. So I do look at it much more as an investment. And, when I was on the mortgage space, it'd be like, how many loans does it really take? And then also, like, depending upon the quality of the person, I had one of my clients recently. He said he interviewed 2 people. One he knew who's a complete and utter rock star who had run the operations of a company. And he had worked with her prior. He had prior history, said she is a rock star, but she wanted 150,000. That's a big hire. That's a big hire. He had another candidate that was very qualified that wanted 60,000. Now, most people would probably take the $60,000 candidate, but what I said,
pay for you get what you pay for. Is that where we're going?
Well, possibly, but I said, look, your complaint right now is that you're working in the business every day and you can't focus on building the business. With her background, how much can she take off your plate of all the problems that have to be fixed? All the things that come in from an inspection or an appraisal issue, like how many things can she fix for you that you don't have to get involved with? You don't have to be the problem solution specialist anymore. He said she can do all of it because she's done it for years. I said, what's that worth it to you? So we're looking at a gap here of X amount of dollars. How many deals do you have to do to make up that gap? And is that worth it to you? I mean, do you think you can actually double that? And when he started thinking about it, he only took him 1 day and he came back to me and said, I made her an offer. I went with 100 because she will make my life and it'll take my business to a whole different level of success because she's that good. And I can focus on what I'm passionate about, which is getting out in front of more people and helping more people and helping people get into home ownership. And he's so excited about that hire. So we have to get out of our own way. I know it's scary. I mean, it genuinely is. And I take people's livelihood very seriously without question. I don't want to hire people and I have to let them go, which is why I want to hire the right people. But I always say, look, it's just like when people say, is now the right time to buy real estate? It's on the high side. Don't you think you should wait? And I said, you cannot time a market, buy real estate, period. If I hadn't just bought, I bought, my house didn't appraise when I bought it. And I knew I was overpaying by $50,000, but I knew in a few years it would be irrelevant. And it has been completely irrelevant. So the reality is it's kind of the same thing. You've got to just go, okay, I believe in my ability. And I know that I need help to take it to the next level. And sometimes you got to go at a little bit of risk. But my experience for me personally is within 3 months, I see a return. It just happens every time that if I hire the right person, because I always say, what's the worst that can happen? So let's say you hired someone for 60 grand and you got a great candidate and, now business slows up a little bit. You're concerned about the financials and your P&L. All right, well, maybe now you go find someone else and you split this person. There's lots of ways to do it where you don't necessarily have to lay somebody off. For good people, you can always find people that need help.
Mm-hmm.
So
I love that. Well, you answered the question. The metric is not what the current data tells you. It's what does the future data tell you? I think that's what I took from it. And the answer is what can you do more of that's going to create more revenue producing activity? And I'll just give my own take on this, which is, and you've said it, everybody says it, and I'm going to drive it home, which is, and it's kind of, I don't know if cliche is the right word, but it's like, the truth is, and again, I'm validation of this, when you can focus on what you love, your business will hockey stick. There's no question. It might take 2 to 3 years. That's the hard part. But once it takes hold, trust. Cindy teaches this stuff. I've lived it. And so, but that is it. I mean, it's so powerful, Cindy. And I'm glad that we really drove that home. And I think this isn't the first time we've had this conversation. It's been a long time. So I'm glad we had you on to talk about this concept, because scaling is the difference. It's the difference in changing your life. And not to mention, by the way, for some people, and this might be you listening right now, maybe you just want to hire somebody so you have more time with your family and you're willing to make a little bit less. Like you've gotten yourself to some number and you're willing to make 50 grand less, 100 grand less, because you're already making a crap ton of money. And, so you find your why, right? You said it, find your whys. I love it. So because we're, come to our time, and some people might just want more of you. What is the best place to find you? What's the best place to get a hold of you? And then after that, I'd like you to give us some parting thoughts.
Great. The definingdifference.com or cindyertman.com, CINDYERTMAN.com is my website. So there's lots of information there. There's several free tools. There's a great free download on the homepage. So if you want to check that out, on 7 instant skills to build your life, business, and income. And if you want more information or want to set up a strategy call, you can email info@cindyertman.com and my team will get back to you and we will get a call scheduled. And, I think at the end of the day, the reason I love teams so much is because it's just plain more fun. I love collaborating. I love masterminding. I get, my team, we have a team meeting every Monday. It's a non-negotiable. We are on Zoom together every single Monday. We're talking about what we're doing now, where we're going. I have one other thing that I do, and we always have, I'll call them 3 big rocks. We always, as a team, establish 3 big things we want to accomplish per quarter. And we don't allow more than 3 cars out of the garage at a time, because I'm an executor. I want to be able to have the great idea. If I'm building a new coaching platform, I just launched a subscription-based model that took us 6 months to build, put the marketing plan together. That was a big rock that we focused on for that 90-day window. But I mean, it's great to dream, create a vision with your team. It's very collaborative. I say, I don't like to dictate. I want my team to come together, create a shared vision, and then we're all moving towards that vision together. It's very empowering. People want to be part of something bigger than themselves. And sometimes we just forget what we're doing and how we're changing lives. Look, I change people's lives or help them change their own life through coaching, but through home ownership, it's still the biggest wealth creator in the United States of America. And what you're doing makes a difference, and making sure your team understands how they're contributing to that difference. So from my perspective, why wouldn't you want to expand your team, build your business, help more people, and give other people the opportunity to create safety and memories and wealth through home ownership? And to your point, Jeff, maybe you just need more time with your family. That's a great reason to hire somebody to support your business, but still you can build and grow a hugely successful business and not have it all riding on your shoulders. And it's a very powerful place to be. And it's a fun place to be. It's very fulfilling.
I love it. I love it. And I'm going to end it with one more thing, because you left this out. Where's the best place to find you on social media? Where's your biggest presence?
Probably biggest presence is on Facebook. And so definitely just, I think on my professional page at Cindy Ertman now. I'm on LinkedIn as Cindy Ertman. Instagram is Cindy Ertman. Would love to connect with you on social media and would love to support you in any way.
Go stalker. I mean, come on. That's what we do. I love it.
That's awesome. Thank you, Jeff.
Cindy, this has been fun. Thank you so much as well.
Been awesome to be with you all. Have a great day.
LabCoatAgents Podcast.